but I'm not very big. I'm not very strong. I've just been getting into working out a lot more.
Right.
And I finally did my first pull up today, right? Which, you know,
Let's
I know it's
go.
That's an
a big
insane
deal,
achievement. Insane
but for
achievement.
me, my whole life I've never been able to do it, and I just did it,
Right.
and I was like,
Now
and
do
that feeling.
10.
That's what I'm waiting to see. That's what it was like, because like now that I could do one, I was like, now I want to do more, and I can maybe
Yes.
push that up, and
Absolutely.
like I almost have two, and I know probably within the next few weeks, I wouldn't even imagine. Hopefully, coming up this week, I'll be able to get two down because I'm so barely missing two that it's like I'm just there, like I'm just there. But
What you need to do is do one pull up, rest for 2 minutes, do another pull up. Do that until you've gotten 5 pull ups.
Right.
If you
that's
can
what I
do
mean.
that and cut the rest down to 1 minute in between, pull up 1 minute, pull up 1 minute, then you attempt a straight set, and you could probably get 3, 4 pull ups.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, that's what I was doing today. Was just doing one, hopping down, resting, doing one,
That's
hop down,
awesome.
resting.
Yeah, that's like a
But
similar goal that I have, just to be able to do one pull up. Like I've been at periods in life where I can, but like now, right now, I'm pretty weak, and
yeah,
I want to be able to regain some of the strength that I used to have, and be able to, you know, just be healthy. And
hmm
I want. You've inspired me to go and try and do a pull up tomorrow, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah. No, man, it was so exciting. Like I remember when I did it, I got off the bar and I immediately ran over to my friend. He was in the bathroom, but I had to do another one to show him. But when he did finally see it, he was super hyped and everything.
That's incredible. I want to let you guys know I hit the record button, and this is already like insanely wholesome and just
No,
great
you're good.
vibes.
Nice.
I figured. I figured.
Oh no, I'm being watched.
Ah, the
It's okay.
perceiver, the look, Jean Sartre,
Um, you should assume at all times that you're being watched
by the Lord.
because you are.
You
You are
are
being
indeed.
watched.
That's on Carl Jung's gravestone. Whether summoned or not, God is always watching.
God's watching. Big Brother's watching. Everyone you know that has died is watching you,
Damn, I'm
even while you're
sorry.
doing certain things.
Dang, there's a lot of people. Like my grandma right now, she's probably mad as hell right now. She was such a like, she was like a old Catholic Irish woman from Ireland.
Nah, bro, but
And
imagine all the wild stuff that they was doing back then that they wouldn't talk about.
yeah, I don't know, but she didn't seem too happy when my dad did smoke weed. She wasn't happy with him, so
Yeah,
I
but they
bet
was
she
they
won't be
was
happy with
doing
me.
their own thing, bro. They were probably distilling moonshine in their backyard and then seeing weed and treating that different.
Well, see, I don't understand how she could be so mad because like all the men in my family are like well, at least on my father's side, they're all like the most violent, like hardcore people on drugs and stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
my old like sweet Irish Catholic grandmother who's like, we don't do that in this household. I'm like,
mm,
what happened?
Well,
And
right.
she like
that is the
she married
dichotomy.
like she one time she at one point was married to my pup and my pup was like a crazy dude. Like he was he was adopted. He was oh man. I just had like a flood of memories, but
Bro,
had a real deep, gritty voice.
when
Yeah.
there's a young woman with a lot of potential for power, what she seeks is a beast. And what she wants to do is civilize that beast. It's this classic like motif that you see with Beauty and the Beast,
Mm,
with any sort of fiction where there's this like innocent young girl with like the best intentions who sees this very powerful but mal-aligned male, and she wants to bring him into accordance with higher principles.
interesting. Yeah, I do see this archetype often.
I mean, in my own life, I've had like a lot of the people I've dated, they were pretty like just like the last girl I dated, she was very innocent, very sweet, just a very pure-hearted person. She didn't she grew up very like sheltered, so she didn't know a lot about like just anything really, like I don't know, like secular stuff, I guess, or worldly stuff in her terms.
Right.
But it was interesting because like I knew all about that stuff. Like my whole life, I just been that's what I knew, you know.
Yeah.
But so it was just weird seeing that dichotomy. I think like a lot of that, you know, a lot of the reason she wanted to be with me was like, you know, she saw something that was like, oh, like I can fix him, and you know, it's like she didn't realize there's nothing to be fixed. It's just something.
Well, listen, bro, I wouldn't even say that because that speaks negatively on your character.
Yeah. Well, I don't think.
Yeah,
about
bro,
it
because
negatively.
there's
Like,
plenty of stuff wrong with you, bro. But like, a woman's not gonna fix you. You know that.
Yeah. I gotta do that.
You can be fixed. It's just a woman is not gonna come along and do it.
Yeah,
That's just not their role. That's not the prerogative, and that's not something that would be constructed.
Right, and
even when it
I don't think
does
he thinks
happen.
that. I don't think he thinks that. And,
Yeah.
No, bro, but that's definitely something that we fall into, especially
fall into it
when we're younger.
for sure.
I'm sure
Oh,
y'all went through it. I definitely went through it. But I thought there was this person who was going to come in and fill a chunk of my life that I needed to grow into before that person even would want to interact with me, if that makes sense.
For sure.
No. For that was like I realized was like in a lot of ways within the reason I was dating so much when I was younger was because you know I felt like I needed to fill that hole in my life with another person, and that when I was with another person I was a better person, and that's how that fixed me. And you know I realized now it's like why was I you know in a relationship I shouldn't be looking for someone else to be fixing me, you know.
No.
I shouldn't want them to
Are
have
you
that
familiar with what happens to companies that outsource a vast amount of their resources?
What happens? They get bought out?
They collapse within 100 years to get bought out by a bigger company. So if you're outsourcing a lot of what you do as a human being, then you're setting yourself up for failure. The difference is that in marriage, there's a partnership. There's a give and take. There's a shared goal. I guess it just comes down to experience and discrimination when you're able to tell between
well, you learn a lot
outsourcing some of these things you should be taking care of and having a partnership building towards something that's even greater.
Nah, I mean, I certainly learned a lot. I mean, growing every day is the big thing. It's just it's not about, you know, you can't change if you screwed up, you screwed up. You know, you can't change that.
Yeah, I get
the
that.
best thing you can do is that you did that thing. You know, own up to it, and then try to be a better person. And I don't, and, you know, like genuinely try, like. Because some people be out there like, oh, I screwed up, I'll say I'm sorry and own up to it, but then they just keep doing it. It's like, well, you know, you might really be sorry, but you're not really showing it. And that's not going to make people feel like you're sorry.
Right.
Even if you're
not sorry. I feel like if you don't act out your thoughts, then those thoughts are not a part of you. There's something external that exists within you, if that makes sense. Like, you will know a fruit. You will know a tree by its fruits. You will know a person by their actions. You are what you act out.
I think that thoughts and actions are pretty much kind of interlinked in a seamless sort of way. Not that
for sure
they're one and the same, but that one leads to the other. And the conscious and unconscious processes of the mind are what will cause the actions and the reactions and how you interact with the external world. So paying attention to the thoughts and everything that's happening in your internal landscape will give you a better map of how you will interact with your external landscape, and that is something that you need to grow and develop if you want to work towards having intimate relationships with people.
You definitely need to take inventory of your internal landscape and the source of thoughts that go on in your head. There are thoughts that you conjure up consciously, and there are thoughts that pop into your head. You should take inventory of those and the difference between those, and you should seek to adjust those to be more positive.
I agree. there are two sides of it: thoughts that you conjure up and thoughts that you just that they just pop up into your head. Though lately, I've been doing like a lot of mindfulness, and it kind of feels like all the thoughts kind of just pop up into my head, like the conjurer is kind of, it's hard for me to, it just happens. Everything just kind of like pops out of nothingness, almost.
Do you subscribe to a ex nihilo model of the universe?
Something out of nothingness?
Yes, sir.
I do not know whether.
Nor do I.
Yeah, I could not. Um, what is nothingness? What is nothingness?
I don't know what nothingness is, but I do know the void as described by Miyamoto Musashi.
Right.
Y'all can go on for a bit. I'll pull that up.
Yeah, go do that. Do that. Please do, because I would like that. Because I may have some familiarity with the emptiness, the void.
You'd be surprised what the void means, at least in this Eastern martial way of thinking.
Right. It's not. I know it's not like emptiness as we think of it in the Western way, like nothingness. Their idea of nothing is very different.
Emptiness. Here we go. Emptiness. The way of strategy of the Nito Inshiryu, two swords, one style, are right out in the scroll of emptiness. The meaning of emptiness, where there is not any objective form and when things cannot be known. This is understood as emptiness. Of course, emptiness does not exist. Understanding what is there, you understand what is not there. This, namely, is emptiness. It's almost like a process of elimination sort of deal. That's what I get from it.
Process of elimination sort of deal.
Yeah, like, so you can know the boundaries of a landmass by walking along the border.
Right.
So by knowing the boundary, the outer boundary of that landmass, you know the inner boundary of the ocean.
Right.
So you know half of what's out there, almost, just
Right.
by knowing what you know.
I.
Out in the world, if you view this wrongly, you look at whatever you cannot understand about things as emptiness. But this is not true emptiness. All such thinking is misguided. Also, in this way of strategy, as a warrior carrying it out, the things in a warrior's practice that you do not understand are not emptiness. With so many ways to become lost, people call it emptiness, when it seems there is nothing that can be done. But neither is this true emptiness.
Mm, yes. It's hard for me to explain. Like I get what you mean by it being like a defining like a way to define boundaries almost. But I also understand emptiness as a dissolution of all boundaries. Um, a dissolution of of everything. So when I heard like nothingness as an Eastern
Yes.
concept explained to me better as like a no thingness, as in no objective thing, as you're saying. Everything
Yes.
is like there's nothing is defined, nothing is
Mhm.
compartmentalized, nothing is made into concept, nothing is made into form. It's a formless vastness out of which anything can flourish. Um,
Am I correct in presuming that this is a way of thought that is shared in those who practice Zen Buddhism?
yes.
Okay, I know this because Miyamoto Musashi himself was a practitioner of Zen Buddhism.
I see. I see. Yes, this is a big thing in Zen Buddhism, and they would consider.
So I think even though we both have different notions of what emptiness is,
Mm-hmm.
Miyamoto Musashi, the one who taught me what I'm speaking on now, is uh is relating the same concept that you're learned about.
Interesting.
But I like to take this moment just to observe the cultural disconnect in that we don't really know what's going on, even though we both learned about the same thing. We learned about it in different ways.
Right.
So let's see if we can correct the way we're thinking to have a more correct and unified way on this concept. See if we can get any deeper,
All
any
right.
more precise.
So, and even if
Sorry. Oh, I was gonna just say sorry if I'm not speaking right now. I'm just trying to get caught up on the conversation. Just had to go on mute for
Now
a few
you're
seconds,
calling.
but I'm back.
So basically, we both have a conception of. Would you say the Buddhist? I'm thinking of the Buddhist understanding of emptiness. Is that what you're thinking of?
yes.
Okay. But we both came away with different things, so we're going to compare and contrast and try to figure out what's going on. If you want to weigh in at any time.
Yeah, no, I think having a third party would be cool on this.
Okay, that's cool. That's totally cool.
Because I don't really I'll just take it as like I'm learning, so I'll just take it at face value, not add I might add my opinion in it, but I'll tell you if I'm adding my
For sure.
opinion or something.
For sure. Always welcome to.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants the opening statements?
I'd like you to take opening statements just so I can get a little bit of a better grasp
Ah,
of what you mean, like, because I want to hear more about what you feel you've taken away from this so that I understand more where we differ. Because for me right now, I'm
I
not
was
exactly
I,
sure.
I I wanted to say the same thing, so I was hoping you would take it first. But nah. So emptiness is basically that which cannot be understood.
Yes. No understanding.
It
It's
is the gap
beyond
in knowledge
understanding.
between reality and reality as the human mind can conceive it.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
the
true.
only way to sort of understand the boundaries is to push them
Yes.
and to expand your consciousness, your physical being, every single facet of your life that you dedicate your hours of living to, your blood, sweat, and tears, your
Hmm.
life force. When you spend time and effort in these things, you should try to approach the efforts of the efforts. Your efforts should try to approach the boundaries of the void.
Right. And one could
Because the
say,
only hope of just one closing sentence is the only hope of understanding that which you cannot understand is by understanding the boundaries of what you can understand.
yes.
Mm, right.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
And
I would agree with most of that.
I would say this process can also be viewed as kind of emptying out oneself, kind of like a
Hmm.
purification process where one is examining the things that they hold within and whether they stand up to like the light of awareness, like what happens when you examine these things closer and what falls away when
Okay.
you untangle them. This also is like another aspect of emptiness that you can see that certain things just don't have any intrinsic meaning and concepts and things like that
Hmm.
can fall away, and this can be a liberating process that can relieve you of misguided beliefs and things like that.
Yeah, well, I'll say that me me personally, I like when you were talking about that emptiness and stuff and like finding that like kind of letting out those bad traits and everything.
Mm-hmm.
um I do like a lot of meditation stuff to
Right.
try and like kind of clear certain aspects, because there are things that's like um it's like almost a cleansing. It's um so like because I feel like both of your arguments coincide with each other, really. I don't, because I kind of agree with both of you. It's like I would do both of what you guys say. Like there's times for meditation and just like having that emptiness inside you.
Right.
But emptiness is like the idea of emptiness as a concept is like much bigger than just one idea. It's not like
Right.
it's not like a equal
See,
like it's not 1 + 1 = 2.
It's the
You know,
absence of two
I
this isn't.
I
equals.
venture to say that I snort shrooms is focusing on the step that is one step beyond what I'm focusing on. What I'm focusing on is
Yeah.
spending the majority of my life expanding the boundaries of my knowledge, my physical prowess, my social status. And what I snort shrooms is focused on is taking inventory of everything you learn from that, then applying that to an understanding of the esoteric, to put it in buzz terms. I hate that these things are buzz terms, but
No, it's
if you
okay. Don't worry.
just
We
on
don't
the
have to
base
consider them buzz
understanding
terms.
of the word.
Yeah. What I feel that both of these processes are interlinked
Mhm.
and they're not necessarily separate, and that
Yes.
having both of them in a sort of middle way would be the ideal path to go, because
Mhm.
you want to have sight of both the above and the below. That's when
Mhm.
you understand the most about reality.
I think
Yeah.
life teaches you enough about below.
But
Mhm.
it's
I
hard to
think
accept
if
it
you're some sort
sometimes.
of like privileged, like priest type character, and there is a role for you to go out and to learn about the below, and thankfully, because of science and modern pushes further, there's more opportunity for folk to be like the priests and the princes that were mentioned in old Hindu script that came from a position of privilege that willfully put themselves into hell to be with the folk that were stuck in a living hell and to help them. So if you choose to take on that burden and to help people around you, then even though you're putting yourself in a physical hell by doing so, you're like getting around people that could have serious mental issues, that could have serious physical issues, and you need to try to help them through things that are difficult. If you do that, you put yourself in a physical hell, but you save yourself a spiritual hell that you truly will experience if you have any comfort in this life. This life is, I believe, to be damned to the core. So if you have comfort in this life, you will experience hell for it.
That's it.
I
Very
mean,
interesting and hefty take. Go ahead, Dragon Slayer.
I was just gonna say like, um, I feel like, I do agree that like, I'm somebody that chases after like, you know, I don't know, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've gone a lot of places, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Nah,
um,
bro, don't. I'll just vouch for
there's
that 1 sec, bro. Like you don't
mhm,
even need to get into it, but I'll vouch for that for 1 sec. This bull has done some things for a life that's shorter than most to
Word.
experience as much as he has.
Word.
yeah, no, but it's like you're always gonna have something to trouble you, right?
Right.
So you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to worry about finding that so much.
Right.
Like, but there is a peace, and like, because if you're working hard and you're doing good things, you're gonna find peace because that's a reward.
Absolutely.
So
Mm-hmm.
there is comfort in this life, but like I agree that the way I look at it is like I'm not looking for an easy life. Like I want a life that's good and that helps serve the people around me and to help and do the best I can.
Yes.
So in that aspect, you are chasing a hard life, but there will be comfort for that in
There
that.
will be comfort in
I
that.
believe.
And if
And there will be times for sitting around and like talking to people and
eating
having a
potato
good time.
chips,
Oh, for sure.
Hmm.
Yes.
drinking a good beer, it's
But
all
it's to
about
an end.
moderation.
Hmm. Yeah,
Not
you
even the
don't want that to
moderation.
be your whole life.
It's to an end.
Mhm.
Like if I sit back and I sip beers,
Mm-hmm.
it's so that I can relax and have a creative mindset as I go into a certain endeavor, or so I can socialize, or just so I can mourn.
Right.
Like everything is to an end. If you don't have a purpose for what you're doing, you are unwillingly putting yourself into a living hell.
I'm not.
It's something I want to make people aware of.
Well,
Can you
do you never do anything for just to do them?
yeah, just like
No,
impulsively? Do you
everything
Like,
is to a
or what about
purpose.
hobbies?
Sometimes the
What about
purpose is
hobbies?
negative. I try not to ignore, like, give me an example of a vice, and I bet I have it.
Advice. Like,
advice?
explain
Mhm.
that. Like, what do you
Like
mean
some
by that?
sort of, like
Like
some
alcohol,
sort of,
like
yes.
deceit.
So alcohol, for example. Now,
Hey, what?
sometimes I drink to cover up pain, and I
Right,
know that's a negative, but
right,
it's to a purpose. Now
Mm-hmm.
that purpose doesn't work to my end result, so I have to find ways to attenuate that.
right.
But there are applications where a few beers put me to sleep where I otherwise wouldn't sleep and wouldn't be able to work the next day.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
there are
no, I
certainly
do.
applications for it, but
Yeah, no, I do.
just being aware if you're doing like one example that's clear cut to me is like the use of pornography
Mm-hmm.
for like physical gratification. I can't believe in a context where that's healthful, even though I
Mm-hmm.
partake in it.
So
So
Yeah,
when I
no,
partake in it, even though I'm like, oh, I didn't make it this time, I failed. I'm like, did I do that to an end? Well, it was to relax and go to sleep. Well, what was the cost? Well, now you view women a little differently. Now you view yourself a little differently. And I don't really like the way I view myself and others after partaking in such a substance.
yeah, I will
I
add
know
on
that's
to
something. I know that's
the
something
way.
y'all got opinions on because that's a controversial subject.
I have a lot of
Yeah,
thoughts for
no,
sure.
I feel like so the way I can see it is my sister's like really into psychology. She's in college for it right now.
Hmm.
But she always talks about that the one reason this is where I fall a lot of it I have against it is it is an addiction to that. It's
Hmm.
like something that you're hooking your brain up to it.
Right.
Yes.
Uh, and I can't if something that is like a dependency, like you have to go and do it,
Yeah.
like I don't know how many people who I know that are like if they don't do it like a couple times a day, like they start getting like crazy stuff. Like I have met
Yeah.
some people that are pretty crazy like that. But
Oh, it's like
you
smoking
know,
cigarettes in a way.
mhm. And so I in that regard I do think it's bad. Um I just see it's like is it and if it's not benefiting me in like a you know I guess some people say it's like, you need to relieve stress. There is a scientific side of it, but
You're
the
right.
psychology side I think is really not supporting it as being a very healthy thing.
Right.
So I
Mhm.
think for your brain, yeah, you probably shouldn't. And
Right.
I think it does probably I would say it ruins your reputation, like your not your reputation, sorry, uh, your expectation
Okay.
of like
Yeah.
how things are gonna go. You start visualizing things in a weird way because like even in all those films, like even like the normal conversations are done in very perverted ways.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like and it's giving you a false expectation of how reality works. Like,
Right.
There's a
most
psychotic aspect to it.
hmm and it,
Like it
it it
plays on
seems
fantasy.
Right.
yeah.
Psychosis is the difficulty to distinguish fantasy from reality. So I would be careful how you engage with fantasy. Like right now, my guy is playing a fantasy video game, but he's well aware of that.
Right.
If you're watching
Yeah.
porn all the time and you're doing your best to get immersed, because that's what you do. If you try, let's be real, you try and immerse yourself.
Yeah.
You're trying
Yeah.
to ignore the distinguishing before reality and fantasy. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so exciting.
Right.
hmm
That's why I think porn is unique.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's a danger.
No,
It can be. It is a danger. It's proven that it can be very destructive. I don't think there's any doubts about that. we s- we see now that it's ruined a lot of people's lives, and more than ever, it's being monetized and pushed onto people at younger and younger ages, and because it works, that's why
hmm
it's being monetized so much, and why you see it everywhere. because it
Mhm.
works. You wouldn't see it otherwise. Plays on like the most primal of urges, but I feel like we have kind of skewed from like the original thing we were trying to get at. There was something there. Um,
Oh, was it the
Were
the
we
Zen?
talking about
like the
We
something
were
about
talking
your
about
actions becoming reality, your thoughts becoming reality? I knew there
right
was something about that at one
and
point.
doing things just for doing them and that being a bad thing. That's what I wanted to
Yes.
speak on. Right. Um,
Uh,
I don't think that's
oh,
true.
you go first, bro.
I feel like, um, regardless of whether you attach a mental narrative to something, um, things are gonna happen nonetheless, and it it doesn't make them any. It doesn't change like the moral implications of the thing that you're going to do. Um,
Mhm.
you could even pay attention and be fully mindful of something without attaching like a mental narrative to it. Like you could just let the body move and do something like reach for water and drink it. Like I've been in states like flow states where my body just goes and wants to drink water or wants to stretch. It's doing it just for the sake of doing it because it's what it wants to do.
It's
There's no
not.
thought behind it anymore, and I don't think that's a
Well,
bad thing.
I feel like
No, I think there's a moral high ground in the act. I mean,
well, I
if
feel
it's
like
my
there is
place to
a lot of
speak, I think that your body is doing these things because it wants to achieve something.
Yeah,
There's actually a higher virtue because there's points of depression where folk do not do things like clean themselves or drink water,
right,
even though they're alive. So there has to be some sort of higher thing that this physiology is struggling for.
right. Life wants to live, right? So
Not necessarily, bro.
you're
People
right.
kill
You're
themselves
right.
successfully a lot of the time.
That is very true. But I would say that on average, life does want to live just on a basis that we're all here right now in civilization, whence we could have extinguished ourselves any point throughout history. Overall, it seems
Mhm.
that life has wanted to live.
What is
Yeah,
there?
and generally, I would say I feel like
Forgive me if I could. No, no, Gabe, you go first. You probably should have checked for me.
no, you're good. Basically, the one thing with like the suicide and stuff, it I felt like it's more on a point. It's not that they want to die. It's what they want the pain to go away, and they
Right,
feel that's the only option there is.
right,
And whatever that pain is or where it's coming from, that's the only option to escape that pain. So I think
Uh-huh.
in a way, life does always want to preserve itself, um, because the reason why we create we create art and we do a lot of the things we do. I do agree with I snort shrooms, and I think the thing is like it's more on, like he was saying, it regardless of whether you attach an idea or a purpose to what you're doing, like you give it thought that you're doing it, um, it's still gonna happen. So yeah, I feel everything does have a purpose, but it's that's like thinking on like you know
a relative
everything
level.
does have a purpose for
What do you
yeah.
mean by it's still gonna happen? Because what I took from that was that, like,
Well, it's
say
like like
you don't want to eat, right? But you're gonna grab food at one point. That's still gonna happen, type
Um,
shit.
I would say more that the thoughts that you think are like stirring your behavior are more like a commentary on what's happening inside the body.
Just thoughts or a commentary on your physiology.
They're not.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And vice versa. I think there's a one way the other way thing going on there.
I agree with you too. Yes, definitely.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah,
that really.
no, I think.
Go ahead, Gabe.
Oh no, no, you're good. Uh, I think. No, I was just gonna say I agree with that actually.
Yeah, it's like the interplay between uh, both hemispheres of our minds. the logical and the more emotional side, and you have like the thinking and the feeling, and both sides are necessary to function and to create the human experience. And when they operate in synchronicity, then you have a healthy life full of balance.
And what do you mean by synchronicity?
Synchronously, I guess, is a better word. The word that I'm trying to look for, because I'm not trying to like, not like a Jungian synchronicity kind of way, but however, the topic itself is Jungian in that he spoke a lot about connecting the left and the right, the inner masculine and feminine. That is great. The anima,
I think another word I would use is holistic.
holistic.
That's just me trying to because I'm honestly not familiar with that term. It sounds like it's a term I should know, but I'm not that well read, to be honest.
Holistic. It means like
Incorporating the whole, considering the parts.
interesting.
Yeah, because synchronistic, to me that sounds like balance between two halves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I think I know what you mean. Synchronicity. What are the two halves? What do you call them?
What do I call them? Well, Carl Jung called them the anima and the animus.
So the feminine, masculine.
Yes.
I would agree with that
That,
because I think one dichotomy people will draw is the dichotomy between good and evil.
right.
They'll falsely assume that because good and evil exists in all of us, that there needs to be a balance, which is like, if someone I knew was thinking that, I might slap them on the back of the head.
I get that. Because it's not that simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that simple.
No, even that line of thinking is very sophisticated. Like, I won't even. I think that's a line of thinking that leads to nihilism, which is one of the more popular beliefs right now.
Right.
So it's not that it's not sophisticated or that it's stupid.
No.
It's just that it doesn't work. I'm not especially intelligent because I've happened upon things that work. I've been graced with those things, so I try to share them vehemently.
Right, right. Oh.
As far as the masculine and feminine, though, like definitely need a
So when you,
balance. Like no
when you
matter
say
like
the
what's your birth. What's up?
when you say like the masculine and the feminine, are we like talking about like in terms of like two sides to the person, like
We're
Yes.
yin
looking
and
at the
yang type
spirit
idea?
of Abraham and the spirit of the Madonna, Mary.
Well, that is one way to look at it, and that's one way that Jung saw that this duality in us was displayed in the macrocosm. But when
Isn't that like the belief of the two wolves inside you?
um
From
maybe
I'm not too familiar with that.
it might be, you know, because yeah, I'm not too familiar with it either. Besides the meme.
Yeah, I hate to base my belief on something as important as that off of me. This is something we could ask Panera about.
oh yeah. Oh, what is it? No, like the I thought that was there. I think it's I forget which culture it is, but it's I think in their belief is like inside you there's two wolves that are fighting uh over like like one is like supposed to represent good and one is bad,
Mm.
and that fights over each
Okay.
other.
I would say this is
Oh, that
different.
sounds like the Egyptian concept of the sun battling the moon at night.
The darkness, the
Mm.
unconscious and consciousness. I would I would hate to ascribe there to be a battle of good and evil within us all. I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
our human psychology is that simple.
Yeah.
Are you trying to butt into that? Because I can get into that.
Sure.
Let's go. I appreciate you.
I don't think that there's anything as simple as a good and evil dichotomy within us, and like an evil spirit or a good spirit fighting within us.
Okay.
What is selfish in one situation may be like necessary, and there's just so much nuance. Lord forgive me, for I am also playing a video game and trying to
No, bro, you do you. You're
coordinate
actually like
coherent
amazing me right
thoughts.
now.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm watching that. I'm watching you play it. It's crazy. I'm like, he's
This is something to
spitting
behold,
knowledge
right?
while just like playing.
So, if we could just bring it back
You
to
know,
like
like
the masculine and feminine, because I feel like this is something
Mhm.
that is that I can explain, is something I feel that happens within me. Um, so there's a part of me that is very sensory, that is very impulsive, that is very emotional. It is bright. It is fluid. It takes things in its entirety, and it dives kind of headfirst into things. And then there's a second part of me that is much more logical, rational, and it breaks things down into pieces. It compartmentalizes them, and it
Yeah,
separates them into different pieces. And I wrote a poem about this morning, and I'll just bring it up really quick.
for
I'll
sure,
read it
bro.
out to you guys. It says, I walk along the chasm that separates. On one end, floral and fauna, crystalline like growth of plants and trees and flowers and bees and sesame seeds, and the breeze is in color under the warmth of the mother, pink and orange hues and the sweet scent of spring's birth anew. On the other, the geometrical structures tower tall over the flat plains of fractal calculations and compartmentalization. Divide and multiply a recursive reactive machinescape scraping the infinite plate of data and organizing it into dates, times, places, names, nouns, numbered sounds. Green and blue hues glisten off of the obtuse buildings. The machinescape is ringing, a hypnotizing, droning song. It hums in patterns.
Hmm.
That's it. And if that paints a little
That
bit of a better
that
picture of like the two sides of the psychology, kind of how they interplay.
that reminded me of the Hobbit series and the Lord of the Rings.
Interesting.
Uh, how Bull he went off like he was a young man. He had a beautiful life, beautiful farm, family, church, everything. He went off to war. He came back to an industrialized nation.
Industrialized
And it
nation.
struck me how the boyish nature is something that incorporates both the girlish and the boyish for a time.
Mm,
And the masculine nature is something that burns off the womanish,
right.
or burns off the girlish to leave the mannish,
Right.
as opposed to the girl who burns off the boyish to leave the womanly.
Right.
So there is a great pain that is lost in maturity when you burning off the woman in you, the mother in you, the sister in you. You're trying to become something that's more akin to your father.
And I don't.
But if you're able to become something akin to your father while incorporating the spirit of your mother and your sisters, whether those be physical blood sisters or young women around you that you respect, that's how you become a man who is more ascended than the last generation.
Yes, I
Mhm.
100% agree with that. That is, I'm in full agreement with that statement. Yes, and that is, I
Mhm.
think, what Carl Jung was trying to get at is that we've, we've, and Alan Watts too would talk about this a lot. That we've put our left foot forwards too far. Well,
Mhm.
our right foot is the right one, the right word, but and we need to put our left foot forwards. Because if we only rely on the intellectual, rational, compartmentalizing part of our psyche, then we're going to create a world that is like uncaring and vicious, and that's exactly what we have right now. And we see it everywhere. It's overly masculine. It's overly, and I think that's why we see like this kind of like a feministic revolution of sorts, where where women are trying to bounce back. It's kind of because this feminine spirit has been pushed down so long by the patriarchal systems. And
So I would say that the culture of the Alan Watts, the culture of the McKenna's brothers, has tipped the pendulum to the other side. And the powers that be have saw that and leaned into it and adapted in ways that are corrupt and perverse. So we can get into the specifics if y'all have some questions. But I believe is what is happening is that since the powers that be have saw that, oh, we tried to suppress the feminine could not be repressed. So we're going to lean into the feminine, suppress the masculine.
Right.
And what we're seeing now is the masculine being suppressed. And a lot of young men, like individuals I could name, are Noble Official on YouTube, Kyle Rittenhouse. There's not too many like people from our generation that really stand for those morals.
I feel
a lot of them are unheard. But basically, like the masculine virtues are starting to be slept on in the way that the feminine virtues were used to be slept on. So there's dangers on both sides.
there are dangers on
Like
both sides.
if you follow the establishment, you're gonna miss out on the masculine virtues. But if you look at this counterculture, like who's the bald guy who's semi good at martial arts, sucked at chess, so his father never loved him. Gabriel, you know him, Top G.
Oh, what? Andrew Tate?
Yeah. So Andrew Tate is the type of person who he's seeing this swing in the pendulum. He's trying to make a buck, so he's trying to bring up the masculine while suppressing the feminine.
Right.
What you got to do is see that the mainstream culture is suppressing the masculine, and the reactionary gap is trying to be masculine, like over masculine, and shut out the feminine.
Right.
So you need to always seek balance, no matter what the turmoil is.
Right.
Yeah, we have to stop that pendulum swinging instead of, because it's like what you're saying is like what Andrew Tate wants is he just wants the pendulum to go back the other way,
right?
And that's not necessarily good because it favors. Just because for men it seems like favorable, it's not, because you're still. It's not going to end out well, and you're still screwing yourself and yeah. When we saw it happen, I mean, it happened for most of human history. So it's like we need to find that balance, and I think if finding that balance isn't going to be an easy thing. It's not going to be but that's something for us all inside ourselves to find. Like,
right.
It's okay for there are times in which you need to be masculine. You need to be firm and destructive and be able to be strong. But there's also times where you need to be able to have compassion. There's this quote I'm trying to think of, but I cannot remember it. But it's like, oh man, I don't know how it goes, but it's this idea that like if you
gotta watch out for that grapple that will kill you.
Yeah.
If you're
come on, you gotta read that. Come on, bro.
If you're
you got it.
Being
I got it.
kind and you're
Gabe, shut up. Sorry.
No.
Yeah,
no,
you're good.
Please keep talking.
No, you're good.
Oh, never mind. Keep talking.
Pretty much.
You gotta fuck this Pinocchio guy up.
I will.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of invested in this. I'm having a hard time. I'm like, well, damn, this little guy's beating your ass right now.
He's tricky.
He's pulling all the moves out. I haven't seen these before.
I've never seen someone use that. And
you need to overcome, bro. Think about your forefathers.
Yeah, no, that's
your forefathers probably fought things like this that existed in real life, and you don't even know about it because the history books are too scared to mention it.
phone.
Oh! You got me. I was greedy.
Bro, you just failed every single one of our forefathers and yours.
The whole infinity is
Yeah.
watching, and they are all frowning.
You're not happy
Yeah.
right
And
now,
to
but you'll
that,
come back. I know you'll
I
come
say,
back.
I just heard some
boo-hoo.
ghosts yell L in the chat.
Ellen in
Nah,
the
bro.
chat.
I forget where we were at. If we didn't have a point of jumping off from the last point of the conversation, I would like to introduce the worship of ancestors.
Okay.
Oh, that is an interesting idea.
I don't know what you
Who
mean by
wants to
that.
speak first on that?
Right,
Well, like,
so I pray to my ancestors, not the same way that I pray to my God. I
Right.
kind of talk to them as though they were a human being that's just in a place like us ours over the phone.
Yeah.
And if anything, I will ask them to intercede to pray on my behalf, as though I was talking to my brother or my sister in flesh, and asking them to pray for my spirit. But I don't do things that worship the dead. Like I'll do remembrance practices, but I know that their spirit is where it needs to be.
Right.
So I don't really like trip like I know they're where they need to be, right? So basically I'm just asking for guidance at this point.
mhm. Yeah. No, I do. It's because, like, I do believe, like, your ancestors are in a different place, but I don't believe, like, they're gods. Like, they're not the one in
Yeah.
control of everything. They're there, and I feel like what you were saying, like, they're to guide you and to pay respect and remembrance. I mean, I certainly, I don't know if I pray to them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my, I kind of, the way I've always seen it is like, if I'm like, I have like different like gestures that I do for like signs of remembrance. Like if I like go past like a gravestone. I'm not like super superstitious, but I do have a lot of like, there's some, I don't know,
I know what you
because
mean.
like
You
what
might
happened
be
to me is like I
superstitious,
could be
bro. It's
completely.
okay if you are.
Well, no,
Cause I
hear
am
me out.
too.
Here's why I say that, right?
Oh.
Because like there's some things that
You just got
happen where
murked,
you're
bro.
like, you can't deny that. Yeah, man, that was bad. That
Nah.
was like me trying to like ask a girl out. That was just
I'm oh
there's
my
three buff
goodness.
dudes beating you up.
Pitchfork right
That
there, dude.
reminded me of sixth grade. Also yesterday when I tried to talk to a girl.
You tried to talk to a girl yesterday or in 6th grade?
Both times
Yeah,
and it
that's what I
ended
was
like
confused.
that.
What times?
Yeah, with three buff dudes beating you up.
3 dudes with
I've
a
learned
pitchfork.
nothing.
Learned nothing.
Yeah, some things never change.
Something.
Oh my goodness.
But oh man,
I've never felt.
what were we talking about? Oh,
Ancestors.
I
ancestors.
wanna get Shroom's opinions on this.
So
What do you
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about first of all communing with the dead, like speaking with them,
yes.
versus worshiping the dead?
So to me, everything is one soul, one's collective, and within the collective are parts, and those parts appear when they're supposed to. If you see something that reminds you of somebody, it's not for no reason. It's just
Yes.
when something is appears in your consciousness like that. It's not like it's not nothing. It's something.
Now, what if I was to argue that association is just based upon psychological observations over the years and you establishing a pattern and expecting a result?
That can happen too. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I do have a question, right? Because this is actually like a question in inquisitive mind, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
If everything is one collective, then like what are ghosts? Because it's like I've seen different ghosts
Right.
and like I don't know, felt like different things, and I
I
would
would
feel
say
like
they're
they're
demons.
different. They're different vibes. They're different vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say
So where does that come from?
that I would not know.
Other than me not taking my medication. I did see a demon one time, but
So
I was
whether
definitely
or
tripping
not
out
you're
then.
taking your medication, whether it's a manifestation of illness or a true vision, what you're seeing is demonic influence.
What I
So
Yeah.
what
No.
sorts of things do you see, Gabriel? If
I
like whatever you care to
I
share,
will
share
say that
nothing if you don't care to.
I will say that I have an alternate point of view afterwards, but you guys can go on that tangent first.
That's what we're
No,
here
you're
about,
good.
bro. Definitely trying to get those alternate viewpoints
Right.
so I can
Hmm.
perfect what I think.
Right.
I guess the things that I see, I've seen people staring at me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they look more like, sometimes they look human. Generally, the only thing that's not human about them is their eyes. They're always either it's like I just can't see their eyes, like that's blurry,
Mm-hmm.
um, or their eyes are just like not there.
Yes.
Um, but also like when I would say like ghost wise, I mean I don't know. I've definitely heard some
Hey, are
stuff
you a
like in
treasure
some
hunter
like
too?
pretty sketchy
Strange to me, so I
places.
know how you wouldn't happen to know all
Mm-hmm.
my expeditions. All I can do.
Like um, and then like I guess because like I I don't know because like the only time I saw a demon, I'm pretty sure I was skitzing out,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but basically it looked like almost like a really tall lemur. It was
Mm-hmm.
like I'm about like 5'11", right, Tommy? 5'11",
Mm-hmm.
5'10"-ish. All right,
Yeah, pretty
and
tall
then it
dude.
was like, and it was standing like a little bit above me at eye level. I had these big eyes and it had horns, and it was like it almost looked like the fire demon a little bit from like the Labyrinth, if you've ever seen the movie.
Not in a
I
long
haven't
time.
Because
seen
I
it.
recognize it.
it almost had some features like that. It's almost Muppet-y like, right?
Right.
Because it had like
Mm-hmm.
fur at all where its like joints would be, and it was just like completely almost like it was absent of color. Like I couldn't feel or see any
Mm-hmm.
color, but I could see it vividly.
Hmm.
And it was just
Okay.
sitting there, and it was moving around my room, like moving around my house and my apartment. Like I
Yeah.
saw it sitting on my chair, and it was like taunting me and laughing, and I could hear it going, like knocking and going, "Come find me," or like saying different, like laughing and making sounds.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And that messed me up. I like called everybody like I knew. I was like asking them for pray for me. I like got a priest on the phone. I was like, what? How do I
Yeah,
get
for
this shit
sure.
out of here? I'm done. I was tweaking, and then my sister
So
came and helped me out.
what did that thing represent to you? Like what do you think it was
It
there
was just
for?
fear. Like the I didn't even.
It was fear.
Here's the scary part: is I was sitting on my bed. I was looking at my phone, and then all of a sudden I got an immediate sense of fear, and I looked up at my door, and I knew there was something behind it. And it
Hmm.
was like the
Yeah.
most dreading fear that I ever felt in my life. It was like shaking. And I walked over to my door
So
and I opened it, and it was there. And that's what happened.
so Gabriel Smallwood, my brother in Christ, blessed be that not even thy presence, but everything about you and everyone you come in contact with may be relieved by the Holy Spirit. May every demonic influence upon you depart from you. May they have no power over you.
Amen.
Gabriel, my brother, has been anointed in Christ and fellow soldier in the faith. You will no longer see this demonic influence. It will no longer visualize before you. It will affect you in
You
thought.
gotta be
You will
careful,
see these thoughts.
Stop.
You will turn these thoughts away under the power of Jesus Christ. And when you feel the pain and the persecution of demonic influence, you will turn to the Holy Ghost and you will say, this yoke is too heavy for me. May you take it. And he will take that yoke from you, Gabriel, and he will relieve you. Blessed be that by name, Jesus Christ.
See,
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy
the old,
Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
man, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna deny it. Like, that's why I called the priest. I was like, hey, I don't believe what you believe, but right now I do.
Yeah.
So
Like right now,
let's work
anything.
together, right?
What? Yeah. Let's figure it out
I
together.
would
I
have
get
taken.
that.
Dude, I would have taken
Bro,
the prayer of a dude off the side of the street that I never
every
met
single
a day in
time
my
you
life.
see a demonic thought, every single time you feel something that's lustful, that's angry, that makes you hate your fellow man, that makes you hate yourself, that makes you hate your creator. I pray that you will seek the word that is the truth, and that it will set you free every time you dig into it. So even if you don't have the time to open up a Bible, that you go on your phone and you look up a verse, just a random verse, and it helps you. And if you don't have time for that, that you close your eyes for one moment and you say, Lord, deliver me. And I pray and I understand that when you truly bow yourself to the Most High Being, that the Most High Being will come down to you and that He will deliver you from your circumstance. And you will work through it. You will feel not that pain. You will feel deliverance. Amen.
And,
Amen.
yeah.
All right.
I don't know if this is a bad time, but I was gonna ask if we were gonna. I don't know if I could. I'm gonna head out in a moment to smoke, so I was just gonna
For sure, bro.
go on mute.
No
Mm,
worries. No worries.
yeah.
And then I have some stuff to talk about because I have a little bit of a different perspective on these kinds of events, but also
Yes.
the same. Like I see. I guess I see like the same patterns, but I've stripped down the connotations that the West has given them. So we'll talk on that in a little bit. But I love that we've gone to an exorcism in our first podcast. that's
Bro,
that's
that's the thing,
milestones.
bro. When you're the anointed, like, even though I'm wretched and everything that I do is not worthy, the Lord can work through me.
Of course.
And I've
Amen.
definitely seen some change in some folk just based upon the
Amen.
Holy Spirit working and nothing that I could input.
Yeah, dude, I need to smoke after that. What's going on right now? I already smoked. I'm already high right now. I was like, I need to be higher than I am right now to be
Not
on
you
this
you
level
need
of
to sit for a
conversation.
second, bro, and you need to sit and think. And then
I'll do it. Trust me.
as
No,
soon as you've
that like,
sat and thought, you want to light that up and you want to think some more.
well, yeah,
And
that's
you're
what I'm
gonna
gonna do.
get to that point of understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nah, because I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna like. That's why I'm gonna like take just like a moment on myself because it's just gonna be like a time of like. That's why I like to have like reflection and really
For
think
sure.
about like about what I do and what my life is and I
Yeah.
mean I also try to take
Bro,
gratitude in that moment and just like
you are
appreciate the moment.
truly delivered, man. If you choose to kneel down and to be baptized by that spirit of fire, every single sin that you've committed, that you were repentant of, and that you've took an inventory of, that's that's long gone, bro. You don't even need to worry about that. The judge might hit you with that, but the true judge will not hit you with that. So you don't even need to worry about that. You need to keep moving forward in the spirit of Christ and helping others, helping everyone you encounter. In Jesus' name, I pray.
Um,
Oh man.
well, I'll leave you all with this one quote from one of my favorite characters from Fallout, uh, Joshua Graham. I was baptized twice, once in water and once in fire. And now I will go
Thank
and
you.
have my smoke. But there you all. You all think about that. Have a moment to think about that.
I will.
I got some cut to chew on. I know you do. What's up?
Me?
Yeah, bro. I know you chewing that cud right now.
I'm chewing that cud. I'm chewing that cud. Um, I feel like there can be a little bit of an oppressive energy in the conversation sometimes, and that can be difficult for someone to take. Um, which is it's not that's okay. It's just natural. It's a natural flow of things.
What do you think that's repressive? And how do we address that?
Um, I think there needs to be more time to breathe and to allow others to speak and
Oh, for sure.
to flesh out their ideas and to try not be so forceful with the ones that we bring forth, so that we can all meld together slowly, as that's the best way to
Okay.
do it. It's the slow breakdown of ideas. We slowly work our way through it. I feel like things might have got a little bit heated for a little bit, and it'd be nice to just cool it off. Word, but everything's
Yeah.
been really nice so far.
Yeah. Okay. Because I definitely come from a culture and an upbringing where things might be more high energy than is really necessary.
Right.
So if you want to check me on that, by all means, bro, I will try my best to adjust.
Of
Like I won't
course.
take it as disrespect if I'm being too high energy.
Yeah, no, I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever. I just feel like, yeah, I feel like the conversation could be more fruitful if we took ourselves down a notch and just allowed more space, more emptiness in the conversation.
Sure, bro. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm sure you got some things to say,
I
and
do.
we're all trying to hear it.
Um, in terms of divisions of people, of other things, I always hate to like jump towards demonic influence,
Hmm.
which is because sometimes I just like say I had like a sleep paralysis last night. It wasn't last night.
Yes.
It was a few days ago. But my sleep paralysis, there was just a bug on the floor, and this bug
Hmm.
was kind of taunting me. It was doing a little bit of a dance, and when I tried to reach for it, it just kept getting a little farther away, and
Hmm.
it was just moving along, striding along, and eventually I realized that that floor that I was looking at was not like the real floor, not the true floor, and that snapped me out of it, and I woke up, and this apparition, I feel like it meant something to me, that that I should take better care of my surroundings, that I should yeah, take better care of my surroundings, clean up a little bit.
So, in your opinion, do you think this was a real bug or a hallucinated bug?
I think it was a hallucinated bug. Um,
Okay. And
did a real bug appear to me in an hallucination? I don't know. I have no idea. Um,
what did this represent to you, this bug appearing?
this bug appearing represented to me just like the own messy nature of my consciousness, I think. Like
Okay.
the the need to kind of the want to clean and not quite just doing it. Like just it being just out of reach. Being messier than I could be cleaner than I am, essentially. And
So, it sounds like you were warned by your subconscious almost. And forgive me, cut me off if I'm being incorrect.
no, no.
Your subconscious is trying to tell you that your unclean thoughts are so disgusting that they might as well manifest into a physical bug in your room, a bug of pestilence.
Interesting. I think
So I would invite you to take inventory of your thoughts, because Lord knows I have thoughts that are unclean. So I try to take inventory of them to purify them.
I thought it was more along the lines of I should clean my floor more often and sweep up a little bit and organize my clothes, fold my clothes, put them
Hmm.
in the dryer, things like that. I do definitely have a lot in my consciousness, that is unclean per se, but
Hmm.
I don't like to view it like that. I don't like to be so oppressive on myself because I feel that self-oppression leads to the oppression of others. And
Now, what do you view? I'm sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
What do you view as oppression? Like, if you, I know it's a tough term to define because it's important to define, but if you could define oppression in a few sentences, I'll counter that with my own conception, and we could come to agreement on that.
Right.
I invite you to.
To view yourself or view parts of yourself as something to be shed instead of something to be amalgamated into the whole. I think that the splitting of the soul, though necessary, all parts of it will always remain. And the purification happens not through trying to crush parts of your being, but by bringing it into light, by looking at it thoroughly, by investigating it thoroughly. It's to bring the darkness to light, to bring the unconscious into the consciousness. And when you view them as something so horribly unclean and horribly shameful, then that can be something that gets in your way of uncovering certain parts about yourself, because you will shy away from them and you'll feel shame, and all that shame can be enough to make you kill yourself, really. And
Yes.
that weight is not healthy to carry. It's better to have compassion with yourself, and you think about the Christ. The Christ did not take sinners in and say, "Oh, you are unclean," and like you think of the lady who had the unnatural flow, and who went
Yes.
and reached out to touch him, and when all of society looked at her and said, "Oh, you are unclean. You should not be here,"
She
said, "Go
turned
forth."
back. She started to walk away from Christ. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but she started to walk away from Christ, and she turned back to Christ, and Christ turned back to her in that moment.
Right. She, in the story, as I heard it told, anyways, because I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
there are different stories. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, so we have
Mm-hmm.
things are probably different. Yeah, she went through the crowd and she touched the outer garments of the Christ, and then Jesus turned to her and said, "Go forth, your faith has made you well." And
Yes.
that, to me, I feel is how we should treat ourselves too, because if we cannot treat ourselves that way, we can never treat other people that way. It has to start within. We have to first of all see the sinner within and have the Christ-like compassion with
Yes.
that sinner within, with that darkness within, and to embrace it and to understand that it's a part of creation, and to it's love that will heap the coals onto the heads of the deceiver. It's not resistance or a fight. It's 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 love. There's no greater punishment than forgiveness.
No, sure. I'm just trying to pull up that specific verse because I'm fuzzy on it. It's been a minute.
Word. Yeah, I haven't heard in a long time either.
All right, so if we look at Matthew 9:20 to 22, just then a woman who had hemorrhaged for 12 years slipped in from behind and lightly touched his robe. She was thinking to herself, if I can just put a finger on his robe, I'll get well. Jesus turned, caught her at it, and reassured her, courage, daughter. You took a risk of faith, and now you're well. the woman as well from then on.
Beautiful.
So what she did was risk embarrassment and reach forth to touch divinity, and she
Right.
was successful.
To do that is an embrace of the uncleanliness and to bring that uncleanliness to light, I feel. To destroy uncleanliness would to be to rot away alone and not take that risk.
Would you agree that there are parts of yourself that need to be destroyed by fire in a spiritual sense?
Yes and no. I think this fire is love. I think that destruction is. This comes back to like when we were talking about emptiness before. The emptying out of the self as a purification process. I would say what you're describing very viscerally is exactly the same kind of process that I'm describing. And I just think that it's a process that one must be gentle with, because if one is too harsh with the self, then one will inflict more wounds, and self-flagellation is not the way to healing.
Might I present the absolute opposite
Of course.
in good faith? And this isn't being opposition to you. This is my true belief as someone who agrees with I snort shrooms on most things,
Of course.
is that the deadening and the cutting off of the parts of you that do not contribute to the end goal of righteousness is the righteous path. And the gentleness is what leads to perversion and sloth.
Interesting. Interesting.
Like if you see a part of you that needs cut off, you need to cut it off with violence. The Lord says, if your right hand causes you to sin, you cut it off.
Right.
Like any sort of appendage you have that's stuck in sin is long gone, brother. You're gonna have to live with 3 limbs.
I think that the Christ never cut anyone's limbs off. I think that the Christ would heal a limb before he cut it off.
Absolutely.
I think that in love we want to nurture and grow and not destroy.
You want to grow,
Right.
right? But how can you grow with a diseased limb?
Right, but
How can you grow with gangrene in the pinky finger?
but we can heal
You have to cut it off to save the whole.
right.
There's an old Japanese telling of the story of this troop of samurai who were trying to protect a village, and they knew that across the bridge there was one family, a good family, and they knew that they could not protect that bridge, so they let it fall and burn, and they saved the rest of the family. That's how you know how to win. There may be a part of you that loves sin, and you need to cut it off. And if you don't cut it off, you will lead to destruction, whether it's a lustful path, a drunkard path, a slothful path. It's not something I've overcome. It's not something any of us have overcome, but it's something that you can overcome and you will overcome should you set your mind to it.
I get what you're saying. Like I understand. I understand the want to let go of things.
It's not even letting go of, it's cutting off painfully.
Right. But letting go.
There was a point in my life where I had to fillet a part of my fingernail off because it was starting to decay.
Right.
That was painful, but I knew if not, it would be an infection in the finger, which it would mean hospital bills.
Right.
So I poured vodka on it and I cut it off. That's something we need to do with our own psychology. If there's a weak part of you that wants to play video games to a point where it's not necessary to want to watch pornography, to ever want to pursue something, like there's some sort of social acceptance that doesn't lead you towards your end goal, like whatever your goal is, like it should be something that you can dedicate your life towards. So if you're making these small movements that don't contribute to that end life goal, you're living a life that is purposeless. So select your goal, be a benefit to yourself and those around you, and pursue that with everything you have. And every time you forsake that path, beg for forgiveness, because you're gonna fucking need it. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yes and no. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think there are two ways to go about life. It's interesting that you draw some inspiration from a Zen master,
Mm-hmm.
and their way of thinking is like complete opposite to this. Complete opposite.
You it would appear that way, but I don't think it is. So, look, if you have any particular questions, I may be able to illuminate on that, but it's so difficult for me to comprehend. It's difficult for me to communicate.
I feel as though, like, when you think of the Tao and
Mhm.
the way it's not it's not forceful. It's not it's not it can be, but by nature it's not. Like, underneath everything is a soft yet powerful force. And like the power will blow your face off, of course. It will blow your face completely off. If you were to witness it, you would not exist anymore. It would
How do you spell the Tao? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Dao, Tao, Dao, either way.
Okay. Just so I'm on the same page, I'm getting all sorts of results. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to make sure that
No
I
worries.
understood what you were talking on. So Taoism,
No worries at all.
the natural way of the universe. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay.
The way that things grow. There is forcefulness. There is also gentleness. There's a gentleness in everything. And there's sort of an art to it. The way that things grow. The way that nature kind of caresses itself and feeds each other, and you can say it's vicious, and it is, but when you look at it in the grand scheme, it's more loving than anything. It's just one organism propagating itself through time.
Yes,
And they
I
say,
agree on these things.
yeah, it's, I feel that parts there are parts of Western culture that have delved overly into the masculine compartmentalization side that want to separate things from the whole when that just can't happen. Because how can something be separate from the whole? If there is a whole to begin with, what happens when something is separated from it?
It dies, typically, from what I've observed.
How have you observed that?
So, there'll be a weed that grows in a certain area. There'll be another weed right adjacent to it.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a certain weed that goes too far, and that weed is choked up.
Mm.
Just in a physical
Yeah, I get you.
perspective of that. Like you'll have a family member who stops partaking in the family ways that made them successful, and they'll start going towards a different way that's worldly, and you'll see ruin. Like that's a constant motif. That's something I've experienced. That's something I know people have experienced. Is that they have a family member who just doesn't get with the program and they choose a different way. Their way
Right.
does not work out. It works towards destruction.
Right. Well, in my experience, I was that person, and the path looped upon itself. The path that was seemingly towards destruction led back to a path of growth, and it
Yes.
waxes and wanes. It waxes and wanes because it's never absolute. It's never what you say it is. It's never when you try and take a whole human experience and compress it down to one little word, compress it down to one side of a dichotomy, it just doesn't encapsulate the whole, because it's a mixture of all different sides of all different dichotomies. It's not just, it's not like a yes or no survey. There's
From my perspective, you literally in the flesh that you can say that most people cannot. You forsook physical well-being for spiritual enlightenment, and
yes.
that's just I barely know you, but just based on your story, that's something that has happened to you. There is a distinction between worldly gain and spiritual gain.
Right.
Like for me, to live in Christ, to die is gain. So in death, I don't see anything but gain.
Right.
But in a spirit, like a spiritually dead life that serves the world and not this like say I did everything I could to sell drugs. Like say I was selling fentanyl just to make it simple. I
Yeah.
was selling straight fent. I would make money, but I wouldn't serve myself in a spiritual sense.
Right.
I would just sow destruction and corrupt myself.
And I wouldn't say that makes you a corrupt being. I wouldn't say that.
Th-
And I wouldn't say
I would say,
any part of you died. I wouldn't say any part of you died when you stopped doing that. I would say you transfigured. I would say you transfigured from one thing into another.
oh boy, now we're getting into the dramatic, fucking alchemical transformation aspect of this shit, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, I feel as the nature of things is more of a transfiguration than a creation destruction.
So you don't
Because
believe in a burning off in the sense that there's nothing that can be destroyed?
um, yeah, I do believe that kind of, because in my experience, any part of me that I've tried to suppress has just come back stronger.
What
And
happens when something is burnt off?
when I try to push things away in my head, they become
Mm,
stronger. So let's say
okay.
here's something that's a little bit embarrassing about myself, and I'll just it's a little bit silly. So
We
when I
need some of that. So I feel like we going too hard, but
yeah
I think it's good.
when I was in like grade 11, my friends would always make fun of me for like not being good with women, and they
Yeah.
would just call me gay, and that
Yeah.
eventually started to get into my own head, and I started to
Uh-huh.
question myself, and I started
Yeah.
to think, oh, what if I was gay? What if I am like just like
Yeah.
that's why I'm unsuccessful with women. I'm unable to manage like building relationships with them, which wasn't really true. I was just
Now,
antisocial at that point. I have more to say, um, because there was a resolution to this. I feel that the fear itself of this happening, the more I
mhm.
feared it, the more like the questioning continued, right? Which began to like break down
Okay.
my identity almost. And then the second I kind of took my foot off the gas, and I said I let myself breathe and just like let the air clear, and I
Mhm.
then the weight lifted. There was no more like energy that was deconstructing me, because it was like that thing that I was fearing so much. By fearing it, I was manifesting it almost,
Yes.
and not in a healthy
So,
way.
no, yeah. Yeah, you will manifest whatever you think about. So if you think about your fears are going to become a reality. That's elementary.
Right.
Part. Do you mind if I ask, are you gay?
No.
So
And
why were you afraid of people thinking you were gay?
because I was afraid of judgment
Is
of my
it?
peers and judgment
Mhm.
of my family.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like that came off the wrong way.
No, you're
I
good.
just mean to ask because
That's
a
a
lot of people
important
feel a similar way.
that's important context. I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure. Are you a? Do you study comedy at all?
No, really.
Okay, well, like when you come up in certain situations, you can you learn to get out of a lot of things just by being comedic,
Right.
and you also learn to get things through being comedic.
Right.
So there was a girl who thought I was gay because my sister kept telling her I was gay.
Interesting.
So something I said was, "Oh yeah, well I might be gay, bro. Do you want to find out? Because this is my phone number." Type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause there's always a way to spin it, and this is something like I didn't learn until I became mature in myself, and I'm still learning. Like whatever people think of you, it doesn't really matter because if they operate off of what they think of you without getting to know you, you don't need to worry about those people in the first place.
Nah.
They're
Right.
not they're no good.
Right.
They're just not gonna they need to progress a little farther before they're able to interact with you in a productive manner.
Absolutely.
So by welcoming these misconceptions and using them as directive for dialogue, like getting people to ask questions, can actually open up a lot of doors for you. So every time God closes a door, he opens a window. So you gotta look out for those windows, bro.
For sure. And you know, all of the issue is like past. I don't feel uncomfortable in my sexuality at all anymore. And
Mm.
um I don't think anyone could make me feel that way. I don't think anyone could I've learned a lot more resilience since then. That was like 6 years ago probably. And but yeah, you're right about that. You know, you can use comedy to bridge gaps and to communicate with people, and I love to do that. It's a great way to connect with people and have them open up about things and have them have them speak You get to know people better if you're able to
Yeah,
politely rude. Go ahead.
the only pitfall you want to avoid is the self-deprecation.
Right.
You have to use that very tastefully. If you overuse it, you're just going to make yourself look weak,
Right. Yeah.
which
I've been there.
it sounds like, oh, it's not important what people think of me. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but humans are the most social planet on the earth.
Yep.
We have the internet.
Right.
We invented the internet to be more social because we're so damn social. So what people think of you is pretty important.
Right.
And
That is
to segue toward what you were saying, Shrooms,
Whatever choice you make.
how did you overcome this? It sounds like people had a conception of you. It affected your conception itself, and you turned this whole thing around. How did you accomplish this? At like you have a relatively young age.
Right. A lot of self-reflection and essentially like letting the it felt like I was holding back like this cataclysmic idea, right? There was this idea in my head that I really didn't want to be true. And then when I allowed the idea to essentially wash over me and I embraced the idea, then it just passed because it was just an idea. I realized it was just a mental narrative that I built up, and because I was afraid of the mental narrative, I was giving it energy through my attempt to resist it. I was making it stronger, building it up more. And then when I just let it pass, then it just dissipated, and all of a sudden it was clear. It took me a long time to realize that I was knotting myself up and creating more and more tension within myself by trying to fight parts of myself that I didn't like. And this is like in a lot of different parts of my consciousness that I noticed, like a lot of my insecurities, I would try to push them away, or memories that bothered me, I tried to push them away, and all it ever did was make them stronger and make it more difficult to deal with them. And it's like what I had to do to heal them was to like embrace them and welcome them back into like the part of the whole. Because to me, what I see is like a neural network that has parts of it that are wounded, and those parts that are wounded are disconnected from the rest of the neural network that is still functioning, and the rest of the neural network can reprogram those parts of the neural network that are dysfunctional. But to do so is you have to make the connection, and that connection hurts because you're reconnecting to the wounded part of the network, and then the pain is spreading out throughout the rest of the network, and then essentially the whole is now healing the small piece that appeared to be broken off apart. And
Okay.
that's like kind of a process of self-realization, I guess.
Yeah. But is there such thing as a neuron that is so far gone you need to section that shit off and destroy it?
I haven't found it yet.
Because like there are parts of me that they don't need to exist. They need to be destroyed. They need to be suppressed. They can never express themselves again.
What parts of
And the
you?
way they've expressed themselves, like the parts that want to dominate my will over the world around me, no matter the cost, like that's some boyish behavior that needs to be destroyed. Because that will only lead to, like, who cares about the ruin of my own self? It'll lead to the ruin to those around me.
Right.
Like I'm talking some evil activity. Like my brain has evil thoughts.
Right.
And I forsake these thoughts. I section them off. I quarantine them, and I pray for the Holy Ghost to burn them away. Because I know if they manifest it, it'll be the ruin of myself, others in the physical realm. It'll be a spiritual ruin.
What I do with these impulses is investigate them and welcome them, because they're part of human nature. And if I am not familiar with them, like the fact that they're inside me is like the best
Mhm.
opportunity for me to become familiar with them, and to become familiar with them inside me will allow me to recognize them in the external world and will allow me to stop projecting the darkness within me outside and
But
getting
where does it
triggered.
come from, bro?
Where does
Like
it
some
come
of
from?
this shit is wild. It's wild. It's like,
I
how did this come into my head?
because
It's like
I
I don't
understand
agree
that.
with these
I
thoughts. They
understand.
stand against what I stand for.
right, but
I don't like them. I don't want them.
it's just human nature is screwed, man. You have the whole of humanity, like your ancestors and all of the trauma that they've went through inside of you. Like
Yes.
it's insane how much weight you carry within you, and if you look deep you'll find the pain of the entire earth, and you will weep for the whole earth and the and all the humans, and you'll
Yes.
see that they're all suffering, and they're all suffering just the same way you are, and they all share the same burden because we're all going through it together, and
Mhm.
it's through that path of embracing it, I think that you connect to like the other side, because there's something beyond all of that trauma and the pain. It's the love that is propelling all of this forwards, the love that is propelling the life to continue and to go on despite all this trauma. The reason why there's the strength that is able to muster up life in against complete infinite like circumstances, like it shouldn't be this way,
Yes.
you know. It should not, things should not exist, things should not happen, you know. Like it's logical to be
Mhm.
nihilistic, it's logical to be that way, but the world isn't logical, the universe isn't logical, it doesn't work on reason. It's, there's something deeper,
I would
there's something
argue.
beneath that. You'd argue.
Oh, just on the point that the world doesn't operate on reason. It doesn't operate on human reasoning. That's a failure of human resources
Right.
as far as mental faculties. But like what you were saying, like there are certain things that exist that escape the mind, bro. Like like come on, man. Like it's not acceptable
I
type
know
shit.
my way around.
I would say to, I would never turn away anyone for anything that they brought to me.
Oh, I would.
I would never turn away anyone.
Yeah, I
No.
know. I have. You need, have you ever lived? You ever lived in some shady areas? You ever get a crackhead knocking on your door at 4 a.m. asking for drugs? You turn away people then.
Not only that, you had a person who tried to victimize children and they try to ask you for something. And you're like, yo, I want to kill you right now, but I don't.
Oh,
So the fact
period.
that you're asking me that is crazy.
Now, when I say turn away, I think I mean more in a spiritual way than in like a physical way.
Oh,
I
Bro, I'll
wouldn't.
physically,
no,
spiritually
that.
turn away someone.
I would.
I will destroy them in every means I know how,
So
depending on the
that part
How
I
do
character.
you
wouldn't
do that?
do. I would embrace them wholly and give them as much love as I can. That is going to be allow me to continue living and not endanger me. Like I'm not gonna. It's not like an unrational, unreasonable kind of thing where I'm gonna let a crackhead into my home at 4 a.m. It's like a. It's that
I
I
thought you were talking
see.
about like physical.
Yeah, I get that. I
I
understand how you
think
could see that. It's more
there
like
comes to an extent where the most warm embrace I can give someone is the warmth of their blood running down their chest as I open their neck, because they're about to meet their maker. Like they've gone so awry that the best thing for them would have been to commit seppuku,
I
but they're too scared, so I have to do it for them. Type shit.
I think that you have a lot of hatred in your heart still,
Hmm.
and I think that's where
Absolutely.
I think that's where those ideas come from. I don't think that that's
Oh yeah.
fundamental to you. I think that if you were to dig deeper within yourself, you would find a more loving stance, and you would find more compassion for those people, even the most disgusting and vile creatures.
But that is compassion though.
It
Because I
is.
think the
It's
more I
your
can make
idea of
someone suffer
compassion.
on this earth, the less they'll suffer on the next world. And depending on what you've done, you deserve to suffer. So I should help you.
That's the idea that led the Inquisition,
Mhm.
that led many holy wars that slaughtered countless innocent people. It's that thinking.
But were those innocent people like? Could I confirm that they have done certain things to certain people who should never be victimized, yet they victimize them ruthlessly? That's the disconnect. Is that some people will go on these holy wars to dig out people who differ from them in opinion, but I differ from them in action. I don't I don't entertain these thoughts, and I don't behave in these actions. Some of these actions are unacceptable,
Right.
and whoever perpetrates them need to be removed from this plane. Plain and simple.
I understand. I understand your take, but when I see things through the lens of the divine, then I would never need to do such a thing because I have all the power in the world, so why don't I rehabilitate everything?
I guess, yeah.
This is
I don't know.
interesting.
I
That's a
don't even
pass.
hope
Is
for a
that like
type of
a
power like that.
Pardon?
Like it seems like it's
so?
my calling to just impart suffering on those who deserve suffering.
What are you saying, Gabe?
I have I have a, I was about to ask. So, would you consider yourself a pacifist?
Yes. I do not.
All right.
I
Well,
don't.
see.
I will fight if I have to. If you
Hmm.
if there's a need for
Like a
action,
physical battle.
yeah, then I
Hmm.
will.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a samurai code. Like I don't fight unless you force my hand. If I have to protect my loved ones, if love is calling me to war, then yes, then
Yeah.
I will.
Well, there are some people who, I think, I guess this is the way I look at it, right? Because there's some people who have like a really they have rage inside
Right,
them, right? And the way they take that out in a healthy way is by attacking people who are actually hurting like innocent lives, right?
right, right,
And it is very hard because like you do have two sides of the coin because like one side of me agrees where I'm like, yeah, I want to beat the ever living crap out of that guy or
right,
something, right?
right. Of course.
If they did something terrible,
Right.
but I do believe like the if we're even speaking on like Tommy a biblical level, Jesus would want us to. That's his problem to deal with.
Right.
Like whatever they did that was wrong, it's not our hands to make those decisions.
Right.
We're not the judge.
Right.
And that's why, like, when we look through the book of Judges, you see a lot of error in the judges and what happened to them. All their lives were tragedies.
Right.
I mean, they had great victories. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. They don't know, but they had tragedies for lives.
Yes.
And it's because when man wants to become the judge, and we try to take it in our hands and do what we want, it just doesn't work. We need to leave it to God.
Right.
And that's, it's like, do I think, yes, there's times in which you need to take up arms and go and defend yourself and go and like, you know, do this, like go get somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like protect yourself. I agree with that, but like if you're but unless it's like protection, you know what I mean? Like if something, you know.
No, but like, say I could do something that would prevent suffering of the innocent, right?
Right.
Would it be
Would you do that
by
thing?
violence?
No. Just would you do that thing? Period. And then I'll get into further questions.
Here's the thing: is like, it's never that simple, right? It's never as simple as just like, sure, if you saw somebody on the side of the road who was about to kidnap a child and I was armed, would I blow that guy's head off? Yeah, without a
Yes.
second. Without thinking, yes.
Okay.
Without thinking, yeah, I would do that. I'm not gonna ask
Why?
questions. Why would I do that? Because I think it's the greater
Yes.
good. I think love compels
Yes.
you to do that.
Well, who defines the greater good?
I don't think I don't think you should try and define the greater good, but you should try and let love guide you.
I think when
So
anything is affecting the innocent is when you've gone too far.
Yes.
yeah, I think if the guilty affect the innocent, it's my place to step in at the cost of the guilty.
Yeah. Like, if
Yeah,
somebody's,
I'll
like,
put it in
actively hurting
extreme
the innocent,
examples just to
then,
make it clear, but that's basically what I believe.
I get that.
mm,
Because yeah, any sort of circumstance where I'm seeing the stronger take advantage of the weaker, I'm gonna step in, and that's just it's ingrained. Like whether it's genetic or my upbringing, it's ingrained. I'm
Right.
always gonna appeal to the like I'm gonna go to the weaker person in the situation. And I'm gonna help them.
Right.
mm,
And that's a good thing. And we need people like that. We need people like that. It's important. At the same
But
time,
I'll,
I
I'll
mean,
take it to the extreme. I don't care.
right. But then,
I mean,
When it
I
comes to
will.
like crimes against children, I feel like there's no forgiveness for that. So I might as well give you up to the father so he can deal with it.
right. But the
Mhm.
father says that's not your
What is it?
place.
I don't think he says that ever.
He does, though.
Where does he say that?
It's not for your man to judge.
Yeah.
What
Not to
verse?
judge.
Jesus says that.
Oh,
You might know.
yeah. Hold on. I got you.
Yeah, Gay probably knows.
Um.
Yeah.
Well, also, Tom, it was like what I was speaking on the Book of Judges, right?
Uh-huh.
All the judges are like they were like men, like going and killing people, right? And they were all men of war. And all of them, although they had great victories, they led very tragic lives because, you
Yes.
know, when a man is judged, when a man takes judge and starts killing and does action, and he doesn't give it to God, it just
Uh-huh.
doesn't go well because man's judgment, even if we think it is, even if we're like, no, God, there's no way I shouldn't kill this guy right now. Nick, we can't. It's not our decision now, unless it's something like I think God
So,
permits, like when it's something affecting the innocent actively,
Yeah.
then yeah, like go and do something, right? But like unless it's like actively happening, like
so
I mean, if you do want to be if you do feel like you want to protect people and find those people, then there's there are careers for that, and that would be something I'd urge you for. But like unless you haven't, if that's not where you've dedicated your life to, then you've signed yourself away at that moment not to be a judge. If you didn't choose to go in there,
so
right? Or I mean, if you
Samson's
can't, I guess
final
if
moments
you can't.
where he pulled the pillars down and he destroyed the Philistines at their wedding feast, at their
Mhm.
celebration feast.
Hmm.
Was he doing a righteous deed?
I don't know, man. I'm not God. That's
Yeah,
not
I
for
don't
me to
know.
judge. That's not for you to judge.
Yeah,
That's the game that I bet my life on.
They
Is
do
that
it.
no
They
I
matter
will.
mean,
how
there are
wicked I
certain.
am, if I try to strive toward the best with my best ability, and even if, I mess up sometimes, if I keep pushing, then God's going to use me towards the great purpose.
I would agree with
And
you. I would agree that that
every time I
happens.
feel compelled by the Spirit, like I'm going to move.
Yeah.
If someone needs protective, I'm going to move. If someone needs something picked up for them, carried
Yeah,
somewhere, I'm going to move.
I
But
agree.
be aware
And
that this might bring
I'm willing to
you.
sacrifice my freedom for that.
Yeah. Be aware that this might bring you great suffering.
I
Because.
accept that, bro. I'll take any type of suffering on this earth. There's no suffering out there that I haven't felt. So bring it. I don't care.
Alright. Well, I would. I'll be taking a different path. And I feel.
Sure.
I wish you well on that one. I used to feel more vigilante, kind of like that, and then it it from now I kind of feel more like the best thing I can do is just to heal myself, and to remove the
Yes.
darkness within, to allow it to bubble up to the surface and come to light, and then
Yes.
to love it, so that I can then go out and then love the darkness in others and bringing that out into light. That's my path. That's my path, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely taking it to an extreme just to make the example, and just to make myself clear.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
most of what I do is, it's getting an old woman a glass of water.
Yeah.
It's picking up something for somebody.
Well, there's
It's
nothing wrong
telling
with
them to
that.
have a good day when they seem a little sad.
Yeah.
But the extreme to it is that I will sacrifice everything I have to prevent others from suffering.
Right.
So for every day, I sacrifice a few moments, but I try to make myself willing that if I had to sacrifice everything, I would do so. Because there's nothing else to live for that's worth it at the end, besides, hedonistic foolishness. Definitely live life as self-sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. And to me, if we're all like, the way I see it, we're all kind of interconnected. Then all self-sacrifice, every gift is like it comes right back to you because you are it. You know, you are whatever it is that you're giving your service to, and you can feel that viscerally if you allow yourself to feel unity with your fellow brother, fellow sister. The act of giving becomes the act of receiving.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, my conception of it is adjacent, but somewhat dissimilar. In that what I'm seeing in those people that I want to respect is the reflection of God,
Hmm.
whose reflection is also in me.
Right?
So it's not that we're both the same, it's just that we're both based on the same thing. So if I can see the God in another person,
Right.
then in order to deny the God in them, I would deny the God in me.
Right.
And I'm not willing to do that.
Right.
So I respect other people as though God is working in their life.
But then
And
why?
if you keep that in mind, then you come to a more collaborative type of mindset.
But with this in mind, then I feel like one wouldn't want to go out and try and find people who are doing things that don't align with what you think is right and kill them.
Kill them.
Oh, jeez. You
Who's
killing people?
wait?
Okay,
I'm
I get that you maybe we're on like a little bit of a misunderstanding. Just from I guess I'm maybe jarred from your earlier
okay.
explanation
So to
of
make it clear, if you're a pedophile, I'll kill you.
right.
I'll kill you. That's a threat legally. Government,
Right.
come get me. I'll kill all pedophiles.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, besides
Uh-huh.
that, I'm definitely trying to see the Christ in them, the God in them, and trying to push them towards a positive way of living. What if you're a pedophile? I'll kill you.
I respect that. I
I
respect
mean, he's
that.
being honest.
Yeah, I respect it.
No, I agree with that because that's what my brother did. I mean,
Mhm. Hey, bro.
he
Hey,
said it.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you stand on business, bro.
Yeah. Sorry, bro. My lungs is going.
In Minecraft, though.
In Minecraft, though, for real.
For real.
My lungs are actually going. That's the funny part. I
Word.
just took a blinker.
Yeah, those blinkers will do you
Oh,
in.
damn.
Those blinkers will do you in.
But no, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a miscommunication. Like when I talk about the worst sin, I talk about that shit that has no redeeming quality.
Right.
Like, say you drink too much, okay. Say you slap somebody you shouldn't have slapped, okay. But say you hurt a child, that's no way, bro.
And for me, if someone came to me and they said, "Hey, I hurt a child and I feel genuine remorse," and do not want to do to help me get better, I would not throw them away.
That would be a weird situation.
Yeah, I feel like you have to show Christ's compassion there.
Right.
You do have to. You do. But yeah, there's a lot of sadistic in me that wouldn't resists that Christ consciousness.
Right. Which is natural, because you want to protect.
Because how do I know
what
that
you
they're
love.
being truly repentant?
Right. Well,
It's not for you to judge.
It's not for you to judge, and
That's
I feel
God's judgment.
But the Lord says that you will judge them by their fruit.
Yeah, like if they're doing good things and they're actually like going out and changing their life. I mean, don't bring them around children, but like they're doing good for themselves and really making
But
an effort.
I believe in
and
the
you see that.
concept of mortal sin. I believe in the death penalty.
I know.
Just based upon the statistics of the reoffending and the child, sex criminality aspect.
Yeah, I did
Like
kind of agree
certain
with
things
that.
where you have forfeited your right to live.
I feel like I'm mixed on it because yeah, like I definitely I feel like if you do that, like that's just like you should get killed, bro. It's like you screwed up.
There's
Like
certain
you did.
things where
Like
you
there's certain
shouldn't
things.
exist no
Like
more.
how do you?
I guess
You
there
can't
are
like
really some
even if you say
horrific
like
things out there, like the worst of the worst that I will not even be willing to bring into consciousness right now.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Hey, bro. Look up Albert Fish.
No.
If that guy doesn't deserve to die, don't look it up. Actually,
I'm
I
not gonna look it
apologize.
up.
Don't look that up.
I try not to look at those things
I'm
anymore.
trying to-
But yeah, certain folk deserve to die. Just saying.
I get that. Yeah, if you're a menace to society, then yeah. Well, we can't keep you alive.
Some people are
Like, when
menace
it
just
shows
knowing
the
that they're
light,
alive.
okay.
Like some people are such an issue to the people that they victimize that them being dead would be a comfort.
Right.
And at that point, you chose to be a victimizer, so I choose for the victim to have comfort, motherfucker.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
I should. And that's that wrathful, vengeful spirit. But I don't even think that's wrong, to be honest.
I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong either. I wouldn't judge you for it. I have compassion towards you for that.
I need it, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely push it too far.
It's a hard burden to carry.
Like, I'm definitely the type to try to punish people, and if I let that go, I'll start punishing people for disrespecting me.
Right, and that's...
And, what I have to remember is, who am I to be disrespected? You can disrespect me all day. I deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
That means nothing. Disrespect my family? Okay. But I can't respond to words. Is a big disconnect. I can only respond to actions.
Are you guys watching me fight this absolute monster of a beast here?
Yeah, sorry for the dead air, folks, but this is wild. I hope you're watching the gameplay. Check out I Snort Shrooms on YouTube.
Yeah, they'll probably be
Absolutely has this mongoloid leaked.
I hope so, because I hate this boss. I absolutely hate him.
It's looking like my worst nightmare plus Venom from Spider-Man
Literally.
symbiote.
What?
It crawls like a baby.
That's
It looks like my shit.
And it spews absolute guts. It's gross.
It's not fun to look at.
It's not fun to look at.
I'm sure it's not fun to deal with.
Oh, fix my weapon.
It looks like it'd be a pain to deal with.
I hope you got some potions, bro.
I got some potions. I got some potions.
No, this isn't even the
Mhm.
worst part.
Yeah, this is just phase
It
1.
gets worse, bro. He gets worse. He gets way worse. That's when he got really messed up last time.
Here's the real
See,
part.
watch
Nah, he
it.
just slept him. Oh, this is a
Look.
transformation?
This is transformation.
Yeah, what? See, look, he leveling up. He don't care no more.
He
He
finds
got cheeks out and everything.
Yo, he
Yeah.
started sliding them cheeks,
Look,
just saying.
look,
This is
look what he
weird. I
doing to
don't like
me
looking
after.
at this. What is
Yeah,
going
this
on
is
here?
some. Yeah, he doing some nasty shit to that robot.
This is
Like he,
wacky. This is wild.
he's
This is
absorbing.
fun. Just kidding.
He's turning himself half robot, half beast.
What he's doing is getting up in there.
He's gotten up in there.
For sure. Is that the flood? Is this Halo?
No.
Okay.
This is Eyes of P.
Yeah.
Alright.
this
Let's-
is how I want to look when I reach my final form, Tommy.
If you look like this, I'll disown you. Just kidding. Nah, this is a weird
Oh,
physique.
look, immediate
Immediate death.
But I'll say, hey man, the action speaks for itself. That's an effective physique.
Right?
Yeah, see?
It's an effective
See?
physique.
See, you laughing on me and clowning on me until I come in there and just whoop, whoop, whoop,
Whoop.
mop.
That's true.
We ain't even got time to speak.
Yeah. I ask
Bro,
what
you
I
talking
think
about some
that's
bullshit.
what
So
you said.
basically, in retrospect, most people are you gotta forgive them, man.
Yeah.
But if they're a pedophile, you gotta, in Minecraft, yeah, hop up
If
in
they're
Minecraft for a second.
like a non-remorseful pedophile.
Yeah.
I can't concede that, but
I don't know.
I accept
know.
that. Yeah.
I don't know. A remorseful one, I would just tell him,
No.
go turn yourself in. Get away from me.
Hold
That's
on,
what
hold
I'd
on.
say.
Hold on. I
Yeah,
feel
we
like,
gotta talk about Beyblade or something, so he's not distracted.
no, like my computer's like, it's like, I think it just like, was like gonna restart on me. The Windows
Bro, your
update.
computer is working harder than you are.
I know. It is currently like recording, and here I'm just gonna pause the recording for a second. How long has this been? We're 2 hours and 6 minutes into it.